Lab number 265. In this lab, we will add push notification capabilities to our mobile application, and we will start with overcoming a small bug that there is in the current release of Google Cloud messaging inside the Google Play services. So what we need to do is just navigate to our platforms inside the Advanced Messenger, meaning the client-side application, then to Android, and then to go to project properties file, and down there you see that one of the dependencies that we have here is the Google Cloud Messaging, Google Play Services, Google Cloud Messaging. So what we need to do is, instead of this plus, which means the latest, which currently is 9.2.0 and it's buggy, we need to specify the earlier version, for example 9.0.2, because this one will work, otherwise we will stack with version that didn't match and do not want to work in emulator. So just save this one and we will need to rebuild our application. So for that we will exit from live reload and launch it once again. I can close this developer tools for now. So that was the first step. And the second step, before we will be able to use APIs and subscribe for push and so on, there is a need to configure our API keys. And that can be done by going to Google API console. There may be an issue using that console with enabled CORS plugin, so make sure you will disable it before navigating to Google API console. So just provide your username and password and get inside. In case you don't have a Google account, you need to create one. Otherwise, the Google API console is not something that you can use. So I'm getting inside. In case this is the first time you enter it, it will propose you to create a project. In case you already were there before, you will have a project, like in my case, it's already called Advanced Messenger. And this is the first thing that we are going to use. So we need the project information and we need that project number to copy, and that one should be passed inside our operations console. Then go to push inside the mobile application, Advanced Messenger, and inside the push there is the specific field for sender ID in Android that you will see after this page will get loaded, so just wait a sec. Here we need to pass that value that we copied. And the second thing that we need to do is we need to go to Google Cloud Messaging and enable that if you have it disabled. In case it's enabled, you're fine, but as you can see, you need to create the credentials for it. So go to credentials and create the API key. We are interested in server API key. You can name it whatever, for example, push Android key, and just click create. It may take some time, but usually it's pretty fast. Just copy that key and go back to operations console and pass it inside server key, like that. Afterwards you can click save. So that means that we defined properties for Google Cloud Messaging and we can now use it. One more thing that we will define on the server side is tag. So people will be able to subscribe for a tag. They will be able to get a list of the tags in case you want this functionality and specify to which they want to subscribe. But what we will do now, we will create a tag. Let's call it something like IM, means Advanced Messenger, with a description like test tag. And we will just manually subscribe to this tag from our client-side code. So let's go and do that. Firstly, we are interested in, again, file app.ts. So that will be the place where we will perform the init of our newly created provider. So we'll have one more provider. We already had employee, news provider, schedule provider. We will have push provider, and we will load that push here. So we will need to do a few things. First, we will go with import, and that will be resolved once we will create the provider. So let's call it something like push provider, and the location will be providers push provider push provider, just like that. We will add the reference here that we will have a provider, so it should look like providers, and then specifying name of providers that we will use. We will use just push provider for now, like that. Then we need to add reference here also, so something like, let's go private push provider. And after our MFP init complete will get called, here we will do this push, well, for example, let's call it init function, like that. So now we can save this app.ts. The next step for us is to generate this push provider. That can be done if we will go to our terminal and navigate to our client-side application, which we already have opened in the last terminal tab, and type Ionic G, which means Ionic generate, then provider, which means type, and then the name. In our case, it's push provider, just like that. So now you may notice that we have new folder called push provider, and we have this push provider TS inside, which has default example with the HTTP call. We don't need that part. We can clean that file a bit. So let's remove dependency also from constructor. So instead of load, we call the function init. We don't need that HTTP call. What we actually need is we will do the initialization of our push API, and afterwards we will register a device. We will subscribe for a specific tag, and finally we will register a callback in case a message will be received. So we will display it on screen. So let's remove also those parts with promise, and we will have the clear init function, and let's do some logging. For example, something like push provider init called, just like that. Now we can use the API. So we are interested in MFP push initialize first, and there is always two callbacks, success and failure. So in case of success, we will need to work with the success response, and in case of failure, we will need to work with the failure response. So for success, we will start with logging. So let's say something like push init success. And in case of failure, we will say just push init failure and providing that error. So in case of successful inits, we can right here register a callback. So for that, again, MFP push API, and then register notification callback is what we're interested in, and we just need to provide the name of the function that will be called. Let's call it push notification received. That will be our function, and of course we need to specify it also. So we name it that function push notification received. We'll get message inside as the input parameter, and we will do two things. So first we will do logging, saying that hey, there is the push or something like that. Push received, and providing that message. And the second thing that we will do is we will display that message on screen using the simple alert, so just like message. If we want to have a content and not everything like JSON structure, we just need to go inside message and get the specific alert. That is the default way to access that body, let's say, of the alert. So now when we have our notification callback working, we can continue with the device registration. And before we will be doing so, we need to define the options, even if there will be empty. So for Android, it's better to define here a phone number. Again, even if it will be empty, so just type phone number like that. Because basically that API can be used also to send SMSs and so on. So now we can use MFP push register device, and again, as before, we will firstly have the options passed here, and then we will have two callbacks. So function success, and also function with the failure result. So in case failure, we will just do the console login saying that push registration failure and providing the failure feedback, and otherwise we will say that push registration success and providing here the success message, or even without it, we don't actually need the success message here. So in case of success, we can continue to the final step, which is subscription. So MFP push subscribe, and again, there are a few things that we will need to provide. First will be tag, either the single one or a collection of tags, and the second will be our success and failure callbacks. So success and failure, just like that. So we need to define tags. In our case, we will use just one, but we can use, as I said previously, APIs if we want to get the list of tags from server and then, for example, display it to user for him to select. But in our case, we will use just one tag, which is IM, as we defined it, and again, login in case of success and failure. In one case, saying that push subscribe success, in other case saying that push subscribe failure. And let's provide here an error like that. So now we can save this one and navigate back to our app.ts. So you see that our import now works fine. It sees that push provider is there. So basically what will happen is that our app should load fine, and we should be able to see MFP init complete, and afterwards push init should be loaded, and it should work as expected. Let's take a look on our gulp. Yeah, there is still some error down there, so let's verify one more time. So we are loading push provider from providers push provider, and the name there is push provider, just like that. And app.ts provider, we use the push provider. Let's maybe relaunch the gulp watch. Okay, something went wrong. So yeah, there is this thing that push provider is not a string. We can save that. Our gulp should work, and live reload should take that change and apply it to our client-side code. So yeah, app is working again, and let's take a look on our subscription. Okay, so we have push init success. We have issues with registration, but that one is expected because we are missing the final step. And that's again related to the security and scope element mapping. So what we need to do is actually to define here push mobile client scope, and that can be mapped to a specific security check to secure push or to nothing. Otherwise, you will get a timeout, just as we did, because actually nobody will reply, nobody will be able to subscribe and register and so on without that mapping. So now when we have those changes applied, we can refresh our application. And you can see that push registration now a success and push subscribe now also success. So that means that we can go to push settings and send notification to specific tag. So we are interested in devices by tags, and we are interested in IAM tag. Let's go with hello 123. So that one was sent, and we see that notification has arrived, and we have our push received callback with the alert on the screen. Fine. So let's take the second test when the app is closed. So let's fully close the application and try to send one more notification. Something like test close. So it should be appearing somewhere here. And yep, test closed. This is where we got our notification. When we click on it, it should launch the app. And the first thing what will be done inside that is that alert on the screen. Yep, we got it inside. And now the app continues to work as expected. So basically that's all with push. On this step we've finished this lab, and we'll continue development in next labs. Thank you.